Here's how I'm upcycling this leftover quilted material. I think this was cut off an old bed cover, but by the time I got it, it was just this strip of quilted embroidered fabric with a scalloped edge. I thought it would make a really cute quilted vest, so I just put it on my mannequin and started pinning it to figure out the shapes. I used a water-soluble pen to mark all of my cut lines, and then I just went straight in with the scissors because I like to live dangerously. When I'm doing an upcycle project, I usually don't mess around with paper patterns or mock-ups, just because the materials are usually pretty limited, so you need to work with them directly to figure out what you can get from them. Since this fabric is so thick, I decided to just cut out the entire dart and sew the edges flush together, which I will show you in a second. And there's the shape that will make when it's all stitched together. To make the second side, I just overlaid the fabric and cut out the mirror image. Unfortunately, the remaining fabric that I had wasn't quite as wide as the first strip because it was just cut haphazardly by someone who was not me, so I had to figure out how to make it work. I used a quilter's ruler to get a straight edge and make them the same size. It's a little thinner than I wanted, but at least they're symmetrical. To finish the bust darts, I just used a zigzag stitch and pushed the two sides of the fabric together as they go through the machine. I did not even switch out my thread color because we're upcycling and I like having those little unusual details. So there it is back on the mannequin. For the top, I've decided to use another strip of this fabric horizontally across the shoulders. Once again, I'm just marking and cutting. Then I find the center and cut the other side to be symmetrical. I removed some of the edge trim to reduce bulk in the shoulder seam, and it looks like it's not going to line up properly, but then it totally does. So there it is sewn, and now it can hang nicely on the mannequin on its own. For the back, I'm going to use a different quilted fabric that I also got secondhand. Once again, I'm just pinning it onto the mannequin and then drawing out the shape that I need. For this one, I wasn't too concerned about precision, I just left some extra room so I could trim it down later. I thought the back needed more decoration, so I added this crochet doily that had a nicely matching pink color. To secure it, I stitched all the way around the edges and then also some in the middle. This quilted fabric did not have a backing, so I lined it with some pink cotton that I already had on hand. So here it is starting to come together. I also removed a lot of the original trim that I had from the spare fabric and used it to complete the bottom of this piece as well as the armholes. For the inside seams, I didn't want to use a serger or a binding because I thought it would be too bulky, so I ended up just hand finishing it with a blanket stitch. It really doesn't take that much time if you know what you're doing. Then I signed my work with this little fabric tag that gets stitched into the collar. There it is on. There was still a lot of empty space at the front of the vest, so I decided to add some decorative buttons. These are like my favorite buttons that I found at a thrift store in bulk, and I'm gonna be so sad when I eventually run out. So there it is all together, and I think it turned out pretty cute. This is now up in my store, so if you like it, go check it out at forestgirlclothing.com. Thanks for watching! See you next time!